course, eat well, eat balanced. Don't go to resort to short fixes and quick fixes and fad diets, and sleep well. Follow a healthy pattern of lifestyle. It's just not about eating. It's everything together. It's a holistic step what you have to take towards bettering your health. So
Hmm.
just don't resort to eating. Eat well, eat good, and don't starve ever. Don't fast ever. Don't follow quick fixes, quick methods. So it's very important to keep this in mind and go back to your old traditional, seasonal, and local stuff, which give you all the required nourishment what you need. Don't have to run to A, B, C, or D. Just make sure that you are following a good system, good pattern, and of course, visit your professional, your qualified dietitian.
So whenever you all start, I mean, you have to first accept and I mean, probably drill in your mind that this you have to do forever. And if you are not, I think that if you are not
Exactly.
willing to do it forever, then probably it's not for you, and you have to
It's not
go
good.
on real
Then you go
drugs.
back to your, yeah, true.
So
Very true, actually, very true. You said it right.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
hello and welcome back to another episode of the Arrow. And today we have a guest, Miss Ria Nair. So Ria, welcome to the Arrow. And I would first of all like you to introduce yourself to the viewers and tell them what you do, and then we take it from there.
So, thank you, Varun. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
And I'm Ria Nair, clinical dietitian and nutritionist, practicing past 21 years in this field. Um, I'm married and a mother of two, born and brought up in Mumbai, and been here. I mean, my third generation. We are from Mumbai. So did my education all throughout in Mumbai uh, with my SSC, HSC, went on to do my degree in food science and nutrition,
Mhm.
and then pursued my post graduation in clinical dietetics. So basically, yeah, this is about me. And
I want to ask you or say that first of all, thank you for doing this. And right now, currently in my life, I am very much interested in diet, nutrition, exercises, and and everything, especially after the pandemic hit. So I'm very glad that
okay,
you accepted the invitation to come on this podcast, and I'm very happy that we can have a conversation right now. Um, First of all, let me start with you. That can you explain when you say when you say that I am a clinical dietitian and a nutritionist, so what does these two terms means? And because for me as a layman, both nutrition and diet are sort of the same thing. Diet is what we eat and nutrition is also what we eat. So what is the difference?
right. See, when you talk about clinical dietetics and nutrition, basically these two are the same thing. In general, if you see the academic qualification, what we have, the program, the subject program is all the same. But of course, there's a the marked difference between both is when you're a clinical dietitian, you are actually inclined towards more clinically treating your clients or patients.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a nutritionist, you have a general kind of subject program where you generally it's not more of treating, it's more of catering to people from different walks of life, and understanding their requirements. Probably you can find a nutritionist at a gym, or a general nutritionist can be anywhere, a hospital also. But when you talk about uh, the major difference between a clinical dietitian and a nutritionist, it's the accredited qualification, the
Mm-hmm.
main legal qualification, academics, and the way the clinical dietitian is more specific towards treating people, the medical conditions, and applying to each and every individual with all their parameters, and checking up everything, the entire thing. So that's a major difference between them. But basically, in general, what I say is, what is the fact is that you learn everything under the same umbrella. The basic thing remains the same, the structure remains the same. but it's the major legally educational qualification that sets it apart from each other. That's the thing.
I see. Uh, as I was saying earlier, also that I am very much into
Yeah.
both of these things right now, but
Yeah.
I have never consulted a nutritionist or dietitian. I always did my own research from internet or uh, some forums or maybe some literature or some scientific papers in scientific journals and so on and so forth. But the main question which comes to me is that what am I doing? If whatever I'm doing, is it right or wrong, right? So my question arises is that when you or not you, but when all these literature on the internet, whatever they say a very generalized thing that okay, you can do this, you should do that, you should do this. But my question is, when you do it, because you are a clinical dietitian, do you do it also in a generalized manner that okay, if you have a fever, take a paracetamol, you will be all right, if not corona obviously? And how do you do it? Is it always personalized? And if it is, what many tests do you do on a person or a particular patient of yours? What do you do?
You're talking about my point of view, right? As a
Yes,
dietitian,
yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So see, this is what I've been emphasizing past 21 years to all my clients and patients. The right point which you took up. In fact, a very good question. That diet, your nutrition is never generalized because it's your own body. Each body is different. Each body type is different. Yeah. These days we have Google for telling us everything. You just type something and you get all your answers. Whatever is your query.
Mhm.
But that's a generalized version of what it is. And most of my clients, to be honest, coming to me have all crossed this path of going and reading up in magazines and any material, reading material, papers, the internet, first of all, these days. So, and they are lost. But when you need an actual advice, a real guidance, you have to come to your medical professional. You have to
Mm.
seek help. See, the thing about, as you said, when we have a fever is a general thing. It can be treated by paracetamol, But when you have, people should understand that it's your health, it's your body. And when you're going for a nutritional consultation, you can't just generalize it. Each person is different, gender wise also. First of all, starting with the gender, male, female.
Mm.
A male requires more nutrition than a female. BMR. BMR is always a big factor. People may actually follow everything, but they may not lose weight because their BMR is low. If you have a higher BMR, you have a good chance of losing because a body burns that many calories. Yeah. So there are many factors, socio-economic status, there are many things. And most of all, your body. Your system is entirely different. No two people can be same. If it works for you, it may not work for me. If it works for me, it may not work for you. So I always tell my clients, don't generalize your diet plans. Don't make it common. The thing what we read on internet, of course there are certain things which are research based and they put it on the net, and
Mm.
those things can actually work also. I'm not saying it won't work, but when you have to be specific, and especially when you have any metabolic disorders like diabetes, cholesterol, thyroid, PCOD. I have many clients of PCOD and thyroid as well, especially for women. So then you have this serious thing of actually planning their diet separately. Okay. And when it comes to weight loss, these days people follow many things, many diets on the internet, as we all know it. So it's not new for us. A, B, C diets, and it may work for some. They may get temporary results for a short time, and then they again come back to us saying that okay, we did this diet. These are all my experiences, what I'm sharing with you. We just did this diet and it's not helping us. We are again back to square one. So you know it's all, so people must understand that general things we can all follow, like from the net. Drink so much water, exercise, eat this much, eat less. But the major framework has to be when you consult your health professional, either your qualified dietitian, your nutritionist, or your doctor. Of course, doctors, in terms of nutritionist, your dietitian or a nutritionist.
Before I go to the next question, there is one term which you used called BMR. I did knew BMR till 2020. I came to know about it this year. And
Okay.
can you explain what BMR is and why it is important? Because everyone is interested in BMI, but BMI is, for me, according to me, my knowledge, it sort of fakes out after some time, because I was this height and I was this weight once upon a time. Then I
Okay.
came to this weight, and then I am back again to this, because now I am into muscle building, right? So
Okay.
my weight is increasing, but my fat percentage is decreased. So what is BMR and why it is important?
Okay. Basically, BMR is a basal metabolic rate. That is the rate at which your body burns calories when you're in the resting stage, a sleeping state. So this again depends on all the factors: your lifestyle, your stress, your eating habits, the major factor. What I say is stress. People really underlook this, but this is a major factor. What actually adds up to everything for us, for our system. So once this is in place, of course, we all have stress, but we have to combat it with proper sleep and quality sleep, good quality sleep. So BMR, coming to BMR, basically it's that the amount of calories that you burn, that your body burns when you're at rest, when you're in any resting stage. And with age, the BMR reduces.
Mhm.
Okay. When you're young, your BMR is higher. So that's when you're able to do a lot of things, be very active and burn calories faster. If you have noticed, this is a very, very marked difference. The younger people lose weight early, I mean, very soon. And the more you get older, we take time, we tend to take time to lose our body weight. So what is the reason? The major reason is the BMR,
Right.
because age is a very, very clinically related factor in BMR. And that, but then of course, I don't say that people with middle age also can lose weight, also depend, again, coming to that, this is all a vicious circle. If you follow a good lifestyle, if you have a proper eating pattern, and if you're keeping yourself fit, you can
Mhm.
also increase your BMR by that levels, so it all depends. But yeah, age makes a big difference, age is a major factor in your BMR fluctuations. So yeah.
I see. Another question then arises is this metabolism. I mean, whenever you go and look on internet or ask anyone that, okay, I want to lose weight or become healthy or become more active, whatever, they said that, okay, your
Right.
metabolism is not so good. You have to improve your metabolism, something like that. So, is it possible?
Exactly.
Is it
Hmm.
possible to improve metabolism of a certain human being? First of all, because
Hmm.
what I think is that, or should I say that, is it based on genes, or is it based on what we eat and how much active we are, and especially sleeping patterns also?
Yes. Yes. Definitely. This is based on all what you said right now.
Mhm.
Just like the earlier question which I answered. It's all based on your age, your physical activity, your sleep, your lifestyle. In general, all these parameters what you follow.
But it is
Uh,
possible to change it once, because
yeah.
uh, it is also based on our genes also, right? That you have
It is.
certain type of genes and you cannot change after certain time. So is it a reality, or is it just what I have read by myself?
It is a reality. It is, of course, a fact, because
Hmm.
when your genetic composition is such, for example, I'll just give you a small example. Like, for example, if your family has a history of obesity and a lot of overweight people, generally what happens is, I have, just to quote an example, I have put on weight. I'm like this because my family is like this, right? This is what we hear. We
Right.
have been hearing long. Yeah. So, but this can be changed if you're actually following a proper balanced diet, eating a proper balanced diet, following a proper lifestyle with good amount of sleep, and disciplining your body that way. It's nothing that you can't break the cycle of that genetic cycle which you had for long. You can always change it with your lifestyle. That's what we dietitians keep on saying, that everything can be reversed. Things can be reversed. It's not irreversible, it's not impossible. You can always do it with your kind of disciplining yourself and your body. So it's all about following the pattern. Our body works in rhythm, a certain kind of rhythm. So we need to understand that rhythm. once we understand that rhythm, the signal, everything is a rhythm in our body. So we put in food, it gets digested and it gets absorbed, gets excreted. We feel sleepy, we sleep. So everything is biochemical and physiological. It's just that we need to understand the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
I see. So I want to talk about many things, but let's first start with million types of diets and intermittent fasting. Because right now, if you go on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Google, whatever, these two things are touted everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere. True.
alternate person dieting or keto or intermittent fasting and whatnot. So can you first tell me or start with intermittent fasting? And before you answer, I will tell you by my own experience. Um, in 2018, I had that what do you call it, herniated disc, and I got a big sciatica problem, and my back was all gone, and I was not
Oh,
able to walk properly, run, and I was overweight. I mean, you can call it obese. I was 85 kgs with 5'6" height.
oh,
So
okay.
one of my cousin just told that please lose weight first of all. Yeah, it causes a lot of what do you call it, stress on your skeleton and on your vertebrates, whatnot. So I said okay, and I decided to do intermittent fasting, and that was 2018 start, and now it is 2021, and I am doing it
3 years
continuously.
past. Oh,
And
okay.
and
Nice.
now it has become
Are
a
you
habit.
benefiting from it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. I'm
Okay.
doing it. I mean, I eat only once a day sometimes, maybe sometimes that window when you say that 16 hours gap and 8 hour window.
16 to 8. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I sometimes eat twice, but after 2 years I have not I have stopped seeing any progress, or but it has become a habit, right? And now I don't feel hungry at all. I don't need breakfast, I don't need lunch, I just have some snacks or coffee, and then dinner, it's done. So can you first tell me, as a clinical dietitian, you know much more than me. I'm just a layman, I'm talking about experience, according to experience. So
Yeah.
so can you explain to me what is intermittent fasting, and what are these windows, and how it is done, how long it has to be done, and so on.
Okay. So intermittent fasting is all about fasting for a certain time, a certain number of hours. It's not about the quality or quantity of meal. Just mark this. It's about the time, as we all know. It's the basically it's a 16 by 8 rule that we follow, 16 to 8 rule, 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating whatever you want. So what generally people do is, this is something which has just come now in recent years. So what people do is they generally fast for 16 hours and eat for that 8 hours. Okay. And what happens is, once you start off with anything and you put it in your system, in your day-to-day life, that actually progresses is that way. And you can see that your body is getting adapted slowly, gradually, to that kind of a change. So whether it is this diet or that diet, you once you put it in your system, the body gets accustomed and you start following the same pattern. That's the reason when you said you're not feeling hungry now, because your body is used to it. It's been 3 years. You're
Yeah.
following this pattern. See, all about IMF is, I've been telling my clients personally that, when they come and ask me about this, so it suits certain types. It has been successful for certain people who have been following it, but it won't suit all body types. It's like giving your body a rest. Basically, what is intermittent fasting? It's giving the body a rest for a longer period of time and eating less, so that the food that we eat gets digested in that particular period of time. So one the person who starts it as a new layman, he can start off with a small window, like 12 hours of fasting and then eating, or start off slow, small, and then build it on to more longer hours of fasting, so that your body clears off all your toxins, and all the food digested, you give rest to your body. Basically, this is what we do in intermittent fasting. And you're not eating continuously,
Mhm.
because, and this is majorly for people who are into the cycle of eating. Probably every eating is to be done, but eating is to be done in the right manner. I'm never for starvation, or never, or putting my clients on a low fat, low calorie, totally low calorie diets, salads or something like that. Never. My idea is to tell people to eat home cooked meals
Hmm.
on proper time at proper intervals, and keep a gap. Home cooked nutritious meals, that's what it is all about. Everything that comes in the fad, in the all the diets which have come and gone are specific to certain things, like you restrict it. Like you eat salads for a week, you eat oats for a week, you eat fruits for a week. But then again, what? You go back to your old self, right? You get your targets, you achieve your targets in that frame of time, maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And then what? Can you continue that for a lifelong thing? No, it's not practical. So we need to follow something which is practical, that suits us, suits our lifestyle, our system, our home ambience. We have people around us, we have family, everyone can adjust to that also, right? So we need to follow a plan, a nutritional plan that is suited to our body type and our ambience. All the factors involved, our age, our gender, everything, which can be sustainable for long. That's the whole idea about it. So yeah, intermittent suits people, intermittent may not suit people. And you can't carry it on for long. That's what I've noticed and experienced in my years of, practice. You can't carry it off for long. That's what you just said, your own experience.
No,
And
no.
thanks for sharing
I am
yours.
I have a habit now. I cannot eat. So it is like I cannot eat the lunch and breakfast. So but the
Exactly, because
point is the improvements which I was seeing in the first year or so, or maybe less than a year. Now I don't see anything. It doesn't work for me. It's a sort of like what people do. It's just a habit, a meal pattern for me. So
okay, that's because your body, yeah.
when you say that to be honest again, that I have tried many diets. I have tried that keto diet, I have tried that GM diet and so on. For me
Yes.
personally, I can say that intermittent fasting is more sustainable than those other type of diets, because I nobody can live on salads forever. Nobody can make their own tiffin boxes. Okay, I will eat fruits today, I will eat vegetables today, I will drink soup today and
Not
whatnot.
practical, it's difficult.
It's
Right,
not
right.
practical, right? There is one more thing which I have read, is that when we do fasting, our body goes into ketosis, right? So what does this ketosis means? And I just know that it is done, something is being done by liver, but what is going on actually?
Yeah. Ketosis is actually the process where the body breaks down the fats. The liver breaks down the fats what you consume. Okay. And we know, and that's the time when actually you're in that fasting phase when this happens, because you're allowing the body to do it. This is the chemical thing that happens, the physiological thing that happens inside our body when you fast. So you're actually pressurizing your body to go into the state of ketosis. Okay, when you're following that kind of keto diet, and then you consume lots of fats, you consume proteins. Okay, and then you make your body succumb to these kind of things so that it burns down the fats faster. Okay, so that's how it works. So it's all the biochemical physiological process happening inside. And then this is again, I come to the same point that ketosis have been really hazardous for a few people, for many of them. And ketosis has worked, but after it has worked, it has also created problems, like people going back to that old self of, no, I can't do this again, it's very heavy on me. Yeah, because you're eating a lot of fat, you're consuming a lot
Hmm.
of fat and proteins. So this is not sustainable for long. Though I don't want to comment on any diets as such, but I personally don't prefer and don't recommend any kind of diets as such. I
I,
want,
I
I
can
just
second your
suggest,
I
yeah.
can second your recommendation, because I have tried everything and nothing works. The only thing which worked for me is that I increased the physical activity. Actually, it's just that if you increase your muscle, and
Yes,
then automatically it will need more energy and more calories, and you
exactly.
will burn your fat,
True, true.
right? So my next question stems from that. uh, uh, it is said that, okay, protein, if you take more protein, it will help build your muscles, right? And protein, to synthesize proteins, fat has to be used by your body to synthesize that protein and absorb it into your muscles. So
Right.
when I personally take whey protein just to build my muscles stronger and that. And do you know anything, or can you tell anything about this whey protein? And when people, because I have some friends and colleagues who think that just taking whey protein is enough for them, and because they are taking protein, so fat will be used to synthesize that protein, and they just drink it, they use it as what do you call it, meal replacements. So is it good? Because according to me, what I see, they are using it for years and nothing happens to them. So what are your thoughts about it?
True, I agree. Because I've got many clients coming to me for this as well. These queries are very much well attended and well spoken for a long time. So yes, whey protein is something which you can take when you're having a lot of strenuous, vigorous exercise at the gym. I don't personally suggest too much of whey protein.
Hmm.
Okay. For men, of course, it's required because they require more calories and more proteins on a general basis as compared to women. But whey protein, again, instead of resorting to those kind of ready-made products, yeah, you can always have a couple of egg whites. You can increase your protein intake, your sprouts, your salads, your pulses, lots of pulses, in fact. And you can always increase your protein intake. If you're a non-vegetarian, you can find it from your non-vegetarian sources, like your eggs, chicken, fish, and everything. If you're a vegetarian, you can always have your lots of the only thing is the amount has to be increased. It can come from your pulses, your legumes, your paneer, tofu,
Hmm.
soya, everything which are high sources of protein. So unless you're not getting that amount of protein, you feel you're lacking somewhere, yes, you can go in for a whey protein. If you're working out a lot at the gym, you can always do that. So, but it's definitely not a meal replacement. Definitely not. Yeah, you can have as much amount of whey protein you want, but it will never replace your home cooked full of protein nutritious meal. So I personally don't recommend too much of whey protein in and out, all over the place. No,
Hmm.
that's my
Well,
personal suggestion.
yeah, I totally believe in this, that meal replacement is a myth, for according to me, because um, if you just take protein, when I have done this, I mean, I have done everything to do it till I find out
Right,
that okay, I have to increase my physical activity at the end.
right,
And
right.
it is not that physical activity itself is needed. I think there is something what people call it, I don't believe in it, but it's still mind body connection. And I think it works somehow, because what job I do, it has a lot of physical activities, and still I was not very fit, and I was obese and so on. And as soon as I deliberately started working on my body, it showed results in, I think, 8 months. I started this April, I was 90 kgs. In Corona, I ate a lot of pizza and lot of chole bhature and whatnot, right?
Okay,
And
okay,
after, at that time, I was 90, and then I went to 70, and then I started muscle building, and now I am 78, 77. So for me, I have
okay.
built a 7 kgs of muscle mass,
Quite a
right?
good progress. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good progress. And uh, when I was again looking for it, so first of all, I have to say all my knowledge is from internet. You can correct me anytime you want, and even you can scold me that why do you
Not a
do that.
problem.
So
Not a problem.
there is
In general, we all are. I mean, if you see, a larger population is now dependent on the internet.
Hmm.
So even our children, teenagers, everyone, we can't stop anyone. Of course, people can do their research and then still find out what is good for them and come back to their health profession.
Right.
So I always tell people, you can do your research, you can keep on researching, and then one day if you feel you actually need someone, the proper help, medical professional help, you need to come back to your dietitian or your nutritionist. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I think people should learn from people like me, not you, because you are a professional. People like me who have tried and tested. I have done so many of trials and errors and permutations and combination of all the diets. And now somehow I found a right way to work on my body, right? And I have found out two things, is that what if I have consulted a dietitian in my first year 3 years ago, I would have been too different. I mean, it's like I wasted 3 years of my life and lived an unhealthy, unhappy life, because when you are obese, then you are sort of lazy, and then you don't want to go
No
out. You don't.
self-esteem, no
It
confidence.
affects
Yeah,
your psyche
right.
too, right?
True.
So, so that's why I'm saying that if I had consulted a dietitian the first year, I would have been probably say better. My body would have been better right now. But well, it's never too late. Ria, I
Yeah.
want to ask one thing more is that nowadays there are a few things. Uh, right now it is November and December. It's called bulking months. In winter, people eat a lot and then they use those calories to make muscles later on. So, and then later on they go into calorie deficit. And I want to understand these terms called calorie deficit and what are these micros and macros. What people say that count your macros, do not count your macros. What is it?
Macros are basically macronutrients are your carbohydrates, your proteins, your fats, yeah, everything coming from that. And the micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals, which you get it from your protective group, fruits and vegetables. You can also get it from your nutritional supplements if you're not eating the right kind of portion size of fruits and vegetables. So these are the natural things that we are blessed with, actually, in terms of when it comes to food.
Mhm.
We have an abundance of fruits and vegetables. It's only for us to find out what is good for us. Everything is good for us, but yeah, everything in moderation. Now, for example, as you said, seasonal. Now it's winters. So winters, whatever is there available, you make use of everything which is there. For example, just to give an example, in India, Punjab is full of makke ki roti and sarson ka saag. So this is what generally we have this privilege in India that we get a lot of food from all the states.
Mm.
Different states have this supply of the seasonal foods which are really healthy,
Yeah.
and we should actually, I tell people to go back to your roots, enjoy your traditional food. Whatever, whichever state you pick up, you have your traditional foods, and always stick to the seasonal local things, because whatever you get during this period, you can enjoy it in this period, and you get all the benefits of that vegetable in this period, and fruits, of course. And then later on you miss that, right? When we have mangoes, we have that particular season of mangoes. You can enjoy as much of mangoes as you want, even being
Mm.
a diabetic, unless you're not too much of a diabetic. But you can always enjoy that liberty, to actually eat the local seasonal foods and develop your immune system, your body, provide full nutrition to your body. So it's very important to stick to the local seasonal, and the things which are grown in your area. It's very important to eat that always, and keep in mind that it's not just always importing or packaging foods, resorting to packaged foods, which are more dangerous. So always, whatever liberty you have, make use of everything in that particular season. Yeah.
Right. Um,
Yeah.
y- I mean, you reminded me. I want to talk to you about one thing is nowadays people in my age group, like 30s to into 40s, a lot of them are becoming diabetic. Because earlier when I was kid, I thought that diabetes means, okay, now you are old. Diabetes, glasses,
Same with all
and
of
then
us. Yes.
you have started walking slowly. But now diabetes is like kids are getting diabetes, people like me are getting diabetes. So what's going on? Have you done any studies about it, that why it is happening now, not before, or was it happening before, and what's going on?
Again, coming to the same thing, as you said, as we've discussed right now, the eating pattern, the lifestyle, the sleep, the stress, what we have now, the urban lifestyle, all this over the period of years. As you said earlier, did we see our grandparents or parents having this? No, we didn't. This is post the technology, the digital, lifestyle, what we are following, and of course the work pressure, the home pressure, the domestic pressure, and it's all about the stress what you take. So again, I want to reiterate the fact that it's the stress that we take, it's the sleep pattern, it's the basic general pattern that we follow, a lifestyle that we follow. So I always focus on the holistic living. That's the reason we find more of diabetics now as compared to as it was before. So it's all about how we have advanced. We have advanced in all terms, in all levels. But this has become a lifestyle condition, and people are happy with it. People are on drugs. People are living with it because yeah, it's diabetes, and I've got no cure. I've got this lifestyle disease. Now I'm on drugs. But nobody thinks of actually giving it a root cause healing, from where it has emerged and why it has emerged. If we actually take that into consideration, we can always reverse the process. In fact, recently I wrote a post on LinkedIn about diabetes, World Diabetes Day, which was on 14th of November. So it's all about that, the way we have advanced. India is the second largest country with about a 77 million population of diabetes. So you can imagine, even the young kids these days, uh, everyone following a lifestyle, eating junk food, eating packaged foods, more of refined stuff, sugars. Okay. And it's not just the eating pattern. As I said, it's the stress we take, the peer pressure, the colleagues' pressure, the office pressure, everything together.
Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Is it okay now?
Now I can hear you. Yeah. You.
Yeah, some Wi-Fi connections. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Please continue.
network issues. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I will edit those things out. There's no problem. Um.
Yeah, going back to the same thing, this is a reason why diabetes has increased in all the upcoming emerging countries. China being the first,
mm,
India ranks the second, and following by the US.
I mean,
So these are the
it is
reasons.
shameful that we are behind US because there is a stereotype about US that they are all the obese people. They all eat packaged food, yet we are behind. And we as Indians say, or I mean, brag
The sad fact, yeah,
that we
true,
are so fit and we eat so this and good food, blah blah blah.
because
But
true, we are not following that age-old traditional food culture what we had, what
yeah,
our forefathers had, what our parents did, grandparents did. So that surely makes a marked difference completely. And that's how the entire population. And see, the population, as in, I'm talking about, if our parents are following this, we follow the same culture, right?
mm,
If parents are working, both parents are working, you have ready-made meals, you order food from outside, more or less day in and day out. You have packaged foods. The child will also see that, emulate your parents, and follow the same thing. So it's going to pass on from time to time, from generations to generations. And if you have a culture of eating your traditional home cooked meals wherever we are, even if we are in India or US or UK or anywhere, every country has their own traditional meal. But the only sad part is that we want everything easy, quick, and convenient and tasty. For that matter, I'm talking in terms of children now, tasty, the youth and children. So that's how the condition is what the body is not able to produce insulin, or it's not in that state of producing insulin. So the moment the body stops producing insulin, and or there's an insulin resistance, the body actually, the sugar actually starts increasing in the blood, and that's how you succumb to diabetes. And this can be curbed only with a proper holistic lifestyle.
mm,
Exercise, which is lacking in most of us, most of them. These days people are obese and with diabetes, with cholesterol, but they are leading a sedentary lifestyle, especially in COVID, as we saw.
yeah.
Like we were all at yeah, work from home, and that was the reason majorly people have put on weight, as we all know. Yeah, and not eating well, or probably eating a lot, which is not healthy. And then again, coming back to the same square one right now when you have to lose weight. So of course, if things are this way, then you naturally tend to get the lifestyle diseases, disorders
Right.
like diabetes, cholesterol, thyroid. Yeah.
Yeah, this thyroid is also quite interesting topic for me because I have certain friends who have thyroid problems. Some have hypothyroidism. They have to remove their thyroid, and now they are suffering from a lot of side effects. Right? Sometimes they are groggy. Sometimes they are not in the mood. They always feel tired, sleepy, not
Mood
well.
swings,
Every
yeah.
other day, it's not good. Uh,
Overweight. Yeah.
is these all these side effects, is it possible to improve them with diet? And if yes, have you have any past experience with these type of patients?
Oh, yes, definitely. Thyroid patients are one of the large part of my clientele,
Hmm.
and I've been treating them. And thankfully, they have been on my diets, and after a certain period of time, they're off their thyroid medicines uh, by the grace of God. So, yeah, I've been seeing thyroid patients for a while now. So
I
this is what happens when you have this thyroxine hormone, which is
hmm.
being, which there's a dysfunction in that. The gland is not able to produce a hormone, and then there's a fluctuation. The T3, the TSH,
Hmm.
you know, and there's this whole malfunctioning in the body, because the thyroid gland is also related to many organs,
Yes.
many metabolic system in the body. So when that is affected, you have lots of issues. You have mood swings, you're gaining weight, you're most probably it's gaining of weight.
Hmm.
And then it's like you have lots of complications. You're not able to, you feel weak, fatigued, lethargic, all these things.
Right.
And I've even had patients who are kids, who are children these days. I mean, it was even shocking for me to actually understand that a kid is going through this problem. So of course, doctors put you on your medicines, drugs, whatever is required, and then we nutritionists, we dietitians treat them with the diet. And if people follow a right kind of eating pattern, again, coming to the same thing, you actually come out of your thyroid levels, your thyroid levels drops, and yeah, at a certain point of time, you can always get rid of your drugs, the drugs which you have been relying for past so many years. So yes, it can be treated and reversible.
Eh, uh, uh, Another thing, I mean, I especially want to talk to you about carbohydrates. For some people, carbohydrates are friends. For some, they are carbohydrates are foes. And I have again tried everything. I didn't had carbohydrates for a while, and I had a side effect myself that I didn't had any energy at the end of the day, right? And after a prolonged period of abstaining from carbohydrates, I just didn't had any energy to do any physical activity. Okay. um, but I said, look, this is not happening. And what you said earlier, I went to that. I went back to normal Indian diet: dal, chawal, roti, sabzi. That's it. And
True.
after that, I started getting normal, but still the energy was not at what I had before. And then, okay, I said, okay, I will try more carbohydrates, and maybe obviously less fat. And then I
Hmm.
started having more of rice, and I started feeling better. Maybe it's in my mind, I don't know, there are always placebo effects. But uh, can uh, can you tell me about carbohydrates and what's going on? Good, bad, more, less, what to do?
Yeah. So again, coming back to the same thing, I always tell everyone not to skip your carbohydrates, which is the main comprising of 65% of your entire balanced diet.
Hmm.
You know, never compromise on your carbs. And carbs are the main building blocks of energy givers to our body. So when you compromise on your carbohydrates, you actually tend to resort to proteins. Okay, and the proteins use up the energy for the system to sustain. So that's how the protein is also wasted, and the carbs are also, you're not getting any carbs. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, you're tired, the body is tired, because we have been used to eating carbs, which are a major part of our system. So never go off. I tell this to my clients: never go off go off from carbs, and never think that carbs are bad for you, because there's a general notion what people have: carbs are good, carbs are bad. People have now classified that way. And at times, as you said, as you rightly put your experiences, I've had clients who will go on this low carb diet, and then they feel fatigued, they lose their weight, and they're so irritable. It all affects your mental status. Yeah, body needs that much carbs. Body needs some amount of good carbs, and now good carbs come from your complex carbohydrates, which are those whole grains, potatoes, bananas, cereals. And like simple carbs are those which you get from your simple sugars, you know all those ready to eat things. You get all your carbs from refined flour and all
Hmm.
these things. So always stick to the carbohydrates are essential for your body, but know what to pick up and what is essential for your body. The good carbs, the bad carbs. Delete of there are no, as such, I don't classify anything into good or bad, but I definitely say that go into select more of complex carbs. As I said, just eat your traditional food. You'll get all your required necessary nutrients from that, especially your carbohydrates, which is your staple diet, which has to be your staple food, staple diet, and you continue that so that your body doesn't get completely worn out, and you're not feeling tired, you're not feeling lethargy. Ultimately, what it affects your mood when you're and if it affects your mental status, you're not able to work. So why do we have to compromise on something which is actually giving us everything,
Hmm.
but still we need to look out for things and just classify it as good or bad? Well, it's
Right.
not required. It's not required as per me, and never. A proper nutritionist will never ask you to cut down on your carbs. Yes, there are certain things, there are certain quantities, portion size or something we need to curb. Like, for example, if you're, I'll just give you an example. If you're used to having like too much of rice, lunch rice, dinner rice, yeah, you need to cut down. Okay, then cut down on your dinner, not
Hmm.
too much of starchy rice or, cooker rice or something like that. Drain off the starch in your rice, and then you can still enjoy your rice. So
Mhm.
there's no need to actually compromise on anything. Each food group, including carbohydrates, proteins, fats, is also important for your body. So never stay off all these things. This is what is called a balanced diet. A full proportion in your plate. A little bit of, if I come to Indian diet, roti, sabzi, dal, chawal, and your achar, which is a good probiotic. You know,
Hmm.
so this is all prebiotic. So these are all things which are actually needed for your body. So we can't actually skip one and say that, okay, I'm following a low carb diet and I'm very healthy. No, doesn't work like that.
No,
Doesn't
it
work like that.
doesn't.
At some point of time, your body gives up. Your body gives up, and you have to come back to your old style of eating, which our forefathers used to, which we have been following past so many years.
Hmm.
It's now that these things have come. That's what I tell my clients. It was never before, right? We never succumb to these kind of fad diets, this diet, that diet, A, B, C, etc. So there's now that
Um,
simple. We just have to keep it simple. People should understand this. It's very simple.
the
No
only
rocket science
thing,
about it. Yeah.
the only thing which I have observed is that bread, Maggie, and pasta are worse than rice and roti. Both are carbohydrates, but I don't know. After eating those
Refined. Yeah.
things, I feel sleepy. I don't know. And this is one more thing I want to ask, that uh, food is a fuel for our body. It is supposed to give us energy to work. But sometimes I feel, not sometimes, earlier every time, now sometimes, that whenever I
Hmm.
eat food, I feel sleepy. And it's totally opposite of what scientifically it has to happen, or logically it should happen. So why is it like this? And I'll give you an example also, that on weekends, earlier on weekends, I used to have lunch to get good
Hmm.
sleep. You know what I mean? That after lunch I feel,
A
now
full, a
I'm
fulfilling
satiated.
stomach, a full
Yeah,
lunch.
and
Yes.
I can sleep. And people say that never
And that's
sleep
a
after
fact,
food.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but why it's happening? Why I should be full of energy and I should go and run 500 meters or 5 kilometers? Why am I feeling sleepy? What's going on?
Exactly. So coming back to the same point, that's what the carbs that we select, the food that we eat. It all depends on what we are choosing, what we are keeping on a plate. Like if you have a plate full of rice, dal or something like sabzi, little bit of sabzi and more of rice, obviously you're going to the carbohydrates are going to induce that kind of sleep, uh,
Hmm.
putting your body into the resting state. It's natural. Have you noticed that if you eat chapatis, you don't feel sleepy, but when you eat rice, you get, you know, you feel more sleepy. That's the reason that, because it's slowly digest into the chapatis take long, wheat takes longer as compared
Hmm.
to carbs. So that's the reason that we feel sleepy when we eat rice. Okay, these are the technical things that happens inside the body. So we must understand what is good for us and how much of serving size we need of each food group.
Hmm.
See, as you said, you feel very lethargic, and when you select the right kind of carbs, you never feel sleepy. As you said, compare this to your the way you said, when I eat pasta, when I eat Maggie, when I eat refined flour, you feel more sluggish, you feel mood swings, you feel mood irritation, and you feel sleepy, you feel cranky also. You at times when you eat carbs, these kind of stuff in the night, you get up having a swollen face.
Hmm.
These are the things what happens to your body, because these irritates the stomach lining, the intestinal lining, and that's how the body gets little inflamed with these kind of food products, foodstuffs in the night time. So to avoid all this, just stick to your good complex carbohydrates like rice, roti, grains, you know, and potatoes, your all the complex carbohydrates, which actually takes time to release in your body, and which doesn't harm your body, but doesn't only does good to your body. So it's very important to select what kind of carbs are you, meals are you sticking to, and putting it in your system on a daily basis, right?
Um, okay, we covered protein, carbs. Now I want to talk about sugar. Again, I'm talking about personal experience. I have not had sugar since January of 2021 this year. I said, no sugar. What can I lose? And I was not into too much sugar. Anyways, I used to have it in my coffee, and I drink 4 coffees in a day. So I know it's bad. It is good for bad for heart, but it's what do you call it? Addiction, you can say. But I
Yeah.
stopped having sugar totally, and I didn't feel anything. And I used to still had bananas or apple or pomegranate. These fruits I
The
used to
natural
have.
sugar. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you know, Google Science. I have that that information, and uh, and after that started becoming lazy to do
Okay.
this, and I started buying juice or going to a juice shop and started having juice. And I think a few months ago I just said, okay, let's see how much sugar is in an apple or in a pomegranate, and I find out that it has X amount of sugar in it. And then I said, okay, to make a glass of juice I have to use at least 5 pomegranates, and I'm taking so much of sugar in one glass, and it doesn't take me even a minute. I just gulp it like anything. So my question is that, first of all, is it good to avoid sugar altogether? Number one. Number two will be that juices in the breakfast is good, or is it a myth? And number three is, I want to ask you about dessert, because dessert is a huge part of our Indian cuisine at the end of the meal.
True,
And
true, true.
do you think it is important, or do you think that, well, it is made by someone who just loves desserts? What's going on there?
Well, on a lighter note, coming to this topic, sugar is something which is dear to me personally.
Hmm.
A little bit of sweet, extra sweet tooth that I have. But then again, coming to serious technical stuff, we all need to stay off sugar. Yeah. One, sugar is our worst enemy and a silent killer.
Hmm.
That's the well-known fact. It's the refined sugar, the white sugar is the worst thing what you can actually put into our body, and then gradually get all the repercussions, as we all know it. So it's the worst thing for the body. Secondly, as you were asking me, juicing or eating the whole fruit, right? So yes, I would say always eating the whole fruit with the fiber is the one which is to be done instead of juicing your fruit. So always opt for eating your whole fruit instead of juicing it out. Yeah, because the sugar found in the fruit is a natural form of fructose. So you don't have any harm if you're having that, putting that sugar in your body. To be honest, there's no harm with it. Yeah, technically, medically, I just say that there's no harm in eating your sugars. Even if you're a diabetic, you can eat one mango a day, unless yes, there are conditions where if your levels are too high, I always tell my patients to just be off it for a while, and then when it comes to normal, you can always enjoy your fruit. And of course, there are certain fruits which are very good for people, certain type of people. Like if you're a diabetic, you need certain fruits which you can't have anything and everything, whatever is available in front of you.
Right.
So yes, coming back to fruits, heat the whole fruit instead of juicing it out. Okay, that also reduces the spike of the sugar level in your bloodstream.
Hmm.
Okay, When you eat your whole fruit, you have your fiber along with it. You digest it well. It gives you the satiety, it gives you the fiber, it gives you the fullness. You get the goodness of the fruit, you get the fiber, you get your satiety, all three in one. So
Right.
this is how we actually advise everyone, you know. And thirdly, coming to what was your,
Desserts.
sorry if I, yeah, desserts. Yeah, desserts are a very important part of Indian cuisine and every cuisine, of course. We have our cakes, pastries,
Mm,
puddings, you know, everything. See, basically, one thing about dessert is when people come to me for weight loss, and generally, I'm talking about an example like if they have a sweet tooth, I always tell them that nothing should be deprived. You have a sweet tooth, you eat your dessert. Probably you eat it once a week, you enjoy it once a week. You know, your little bit of gulab jamun or your rasmalai or whatever. You have your share, you have your portion. Never deprive yourself. But that's of course my way of suggesting people. But yeah, then you make sure that throughout the entire week you're following a proper diet and, you know, exercising well, burning out your calories. And then at the end of the week, you can have your perk, you know, your sweet as your perk. So it always gives the boost, extra boost also, and you're always satisfying your taste buds. So people say that okay, generally I've cut down on all my sugar and this and that, but and then they go out and buy packages of fruit juice and probably, you know,
mm,
diet coke which has more calories than the normal coke.
right.
So what we fail to understand here is generally in general that we don't realize what we are choosing. So it's very important to know what we are choosing. So you might as well eat your sweet rather cutting off that and going and buying a packaged food, or, you know, a packet of cornflakes, or a packet of probably your you know, sweet juices or canned juices. Yeah, you feel you're healthy by cutting down on your sweet, but you're, in fact, you're taking in more calories by your those kind of foods, you know. So you always think you have to use your little bit of logic here when you actually deal with, you know, all these things, because it's logic has a lot of part in this. You just can't say that okay, I'll be off this, off that sugar, but you're taking sugar there, right? You're taking your sugar portion there. This side, say you're cutting down and you're depriving yourself, but what you're loading into yourself, you're taking another form of sugar, which
Right.
is causing you more harm, and which is probably packaged and ready made, you know. That does more harm than having your homemade mithai or your homemade gulab jamun or your homemade shira halwa, you know. These things which are really good, you can probably replace it with your jaggery, you know. Instead of sugar, you can start using dates or jaggery, the most natural form of sugar, and then
Mm.
make your own alterations here and there. Yeah. So never deprive yourself. Eat everything, but in moderation. That's usually basically my funda and my style of doing things. So
And
I never tell my patients, clients to be off anything for long, or you know, stay off it. You can be off for a period of 1 month or so, or maybe 2 months. You can't. The body tends to crave for sugar, and when it tends to crave for sugar, your energy levels go down. Right? You feel more fatigued. You feel more weak. You get mood swings. Everything is affected. Your work is affected. Your relationships are affected. It's all the internal cycle what builds up. So have your, if you feel like having a bar of chocolate, have it, eat it. One bar of chocolate or 2 bars. Next day, you again form your disciplined life. You know, you work out a lot. You go for a walk. You go for a walk extra mile. So
mm,
that's what when Diwali, we just had Diwali recently, and then I had clients coming over and saying, "Okay, I put on weight, you know, as usual, help me." So this was all what happened, you know. And if I've always told them that if you're working out well, if you're eating a balanced diet throughout the year, if you're disciplined throughout the year, you can always enjoy your Diwali, your Christmas, your everything, you know, with all the sweets that you want, and nothing will happen within that period of time. If you eat that a little sweet on those 5 days also, you will not suddenly put on weight. So
right.
this is what matters here, because people get panicked. Okay, yeah, I ate a little bit of this thing, now tomorrow morning people are all on their you know, treadmill and workouts and gym and everything. But what if you had done this before for a year? You wouldn't have got nervous now. So there's no need to be nervous when you're actually following a healthy life throughout your life, and then enjoying your perk, a little bit of sweet on and off. So that's where the catch is.
How do you work with your patients on this aspect of discipline?
Well, coming to discipline, which is a very important part, which is
Right.
very important, but very underestimated part of our lives. Of course, there are people, I mean, who are really very particular about it. Yes, but when it comes to discipline, actual disciplining your body, your mind, your system, uh, I basically I work very holistically with my clients. I don't just if they come, I'm not like, okay, do this, do that, cut off this, cut off that, eat this,
Mhm.
eat that. No, because we understand, we have to understand that this is all the mind body process. Okay, the mental and physical process, physiological, biological combination of everything. So no matter how much good diet you follow, if you're not disciplined, if you're not sleeping well, if you're sleep deprived, you don't get quality sleep, you are bound to be the same. You will not be losing weight, you can't expect any results on your weighing scale. So this is what I tell my clients, that working on time is a very important factor which I stress on. So everything start from the day, right from the start of your day. Plan your work, plan your schedule, plan your eating pattern as per your time. So even if you're keeping a 2 hours of gap hourly between your meals, you actually tend to eat lesser than if you have longer hours of gap between.
Mm.
If you have noticed, this is a general thing what happens to our body. If you eat little bit small meals also, which applies to also diabetics, you feel fuller. You don't reach out for things which are not supposed to be eaten.
Mm.
You're eating well, you're eating home cooked meals more than, of course, we can always have when we have this mood of, just okay, ek vada pav kha liya, or ek sandwich bahar se le liya. That's okay when you're working. Ek
Mm.
extra coffee le liya, that's fine. But when you actually need to be disciplined, you be disciplined throughout your life. Train your body, your system. We all work, our body works on a circadian rhythm. So that circadian rhythm is the sleep wake cycle.
Mm.
So we need to train our body that way, that when we wake up, our body is trained. Okay, I need to do this. I need to have my glass of milk or a bowl of fruit or some healthy breakfast and then carry on my work. Again, after a gap of little time, put something, maybe something nice, some nuts, fruits, or, some good things, have a cup of green tea or something like that. And then again, go back to your work. Again, for your lunchtime, also, I emphasize this, that never skip your meals. It's very bad to skip your meals. Once you discipline your body, you train your body to have your meals on time, your body automatically signals it. And
Mm.
when you skip your meals, you have more complications than ever. Your body is succumb to acidity, acid reflux, gastric issues, all these kind of things which goes on in our system. And then it may lead to even worse situations like peptic ulcers.
Yeah.
So you need to always be fueling your body. As we say, our body is like a machine, and
Mm.
then you need to keep fueling it, and fueling it with what? Good food, good things, not something which is bad, which is really going to cause you harm. So always keep your system good and fueled well, and never starve. Starvation is worst than ever. you know if you have someone who puts you or tells you stay off from food, no. Unless you have this unless you have a irritable stomach, or
Mm.
unless you have some diarrhea issues, of course that is another thing altogether. Unless you have loose motion or whatever. But yeah, those days, you 1 or 2 days you skip your meals, you keep it light. But apart from that, no. Everything aside, work aside, everything aside, eat your food on time. Your system will work well and you're healthy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I see. Last question before we close this podcast is that for normal people, do you recommend any periodic tests they should do to keep a tab on their body and what is going on? And if something is wrong, then they must consult a dietitian.
Oh, yes, definitely. I usually suggest a 6 months of complete health profile checkup,
Mm.
wherein you have your CBC, you have your general routine blood test, you have your diabetes, HbA1c,
Mhm.
which you can do, which even a diabetic and a non-diabetic can actually do it. It's good that we do it so that we know the average blood sugar, estimated blood sugar that is there.
Mm.
Okay, the condition and the range of blood sugar that is happening in our body. So unless we do the test, we don't come to know what exactly is happening. So these are the tests. Then your lipid profile, wherein you know your HDL levels, your LDL levels, your cholesterol, your triglycerides, which is very important after a certain age. Then, of course, monitor your BP every 6 months. And for thyroid patients, of course, check your thyroid levels on and off, as and how. Then there are certain tests. These are all the general tests, what we all generally prescribe. But there are certain tests which you actually need to go into deep further to understand your body, what's happening exactly in your body. Those are the tests which are not very common, but we need to actually do that. For example, your ESR, erythrocyte sedimentation rate, which is very, very less common, but we need to do that. So to understand if there's an inflammation in the body. Then you have an AGT test, the anti-globulin test. Okay. So these things actually give a marked, give you an indication that if there's an inflammation in the body, if there's a disorder, we have to go to the root cause and then treat it. Medicines and diet can heal. Of course, they are always there. But what you need to heal is internally. Go to the root cause and understand what the problem is, so that you can actually treat it, with again your lifestyle, your eating pattern, your sleep pattern, everything all together. And
Right.
most of all, I would highly recommend yoga, meditation, and things like that for a holistic living. Because no matter how much you eat, if you're mentally tired, there's no point. There's no point. Stress will always build up. You'll again have your sugar levels going up, your TG going up. So we need to keep a balance. That's about it. We always need to keep that kind of balance
And
and have a moderate living lifestyle.
yeah, and don't delay. I mean, like me, that I delayed for 3 years. Then finally, I found out
But
that
then
what
better
the
late
right
than
thing.
never. As you said, we all learn. You also learned your lessons. So as you told me just while we were talking a while ago that people need to consult you. Yeah, actually, because when you have this kind of experience, when you already have experienced this, you can actually guide people. Like, okay, I followed this didn't work for me. So you don't do that mistake. Don't repeat the mistake. Go to a medical professional and seek help, professional help, which is very important.
The biggest problem with diet is that you don't get fever. Unless people don't get fever, they do not go to a doctor here. Even a normal fever, they first take crocin and paracetamol for 3 days, then
True,
they go to the
true,
doctor. So that's
true.
one drawback.
That
And
applies to even me. Yeah, we all are the same in that terms.
yeah,
But when we have something serious, we should.
because I think health and everything is not the first priority of us normal people here. And when it is
Exactly.
not the first priority, we do not pay attention. And if you are feeling groggy, if you are feeling tired, you just say, okay, I will sleep, everything will be fine, right? But when it goes on
True.
for years and years and months, I'm talking about myself. I have been overweight for very long, around 10, 12 years. And after
Okay.
I had my back problem, then I realized, okay, I have to lose weight now. I have no other option, or I will be bedridden forever or in pain forever. And I was not able to accept. I was what, 28, 29 at that time, and I was not able to
Okay.
accept that.
Hmm.
And I said, well, this is the easiest thing to lose weight
That
is
was the
without.
alarm for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
people don't get alarm mostly, and then they just do it till they become 120 kgs, and then from 120 to reach
And
it
suddenly
to
one
70.
night, one morning they wake up and oh my God, I've put on so much. Now I have to run to my dietitian or
Yeah.
oh my
and
God, that's an alarm. Yeah.
and when you let go for so long, it is so hard to maintain discipline and what do you call it, focus. And
Like, true. Very
you
true.
cannot, because as these diets are not sustainable, right? These exercises are not sustainable until and unless you start seeing results. So people can do workouts and exercises maybe 3-4 months without seeing results, but after 4 months, if they don't see
Exactly.
results, they just give up. And if you are
Give
120
up.
kgs, you will give up. I am sure you will give up after 2 months. Maybe 2 months is also enough, maybe 1 week. The 1st of January is coming soon. We will
True.
see in my gym, I will see that there will be so much of crowd, and after some
All
time there will be
restrictions.
nothing.
Yeah.
So
True. See, coming to this, I've got experience of clients who are like 130, 120 kgs, 130, women and men both. And I've tried my best to help them out. So many of them have been with me for like 6 months, 1 year or more, even 4, 5 years. They've done well. They used to lose 20, 30 kgs. But after a certain point of time, okay, and now I'm tired, I can't do. I mean, it's one thing people have to understand. I need to convey this, that just understand that just like brushing, taking a bath, this is a lifestyle. This you have
Hmm.
to inculcate in your system. You just have to bring it in your system. You can't be like, huh, abhi maine kar liya 1 month, 2 months, finish. I'm off. I've got my targets. But again, what? You're going back to the same thing. No, you have to maintain it. And for maintaining it, you need to have a sustained lifestyle, which comprises of your good eating patterns, balanced diet, your sleep, your stress levels to be controlled, your exercise pattern. So these are all interconnected to each other, and these are all like joined, combined. You can't take one off and say that, but I'm not eating much. I'm okay. No, you need to exercise. You need to exercise to keep on your body going, because at one point of time you have to eat. How much will you not eat also? You
Hmm.
have to eat. You have to keep on eating and giving it out. It's input and output. It's input and out. And it's a cycle, the circadian rhythm of the body which you follow. You can't be on a certain diet for long. You can't crash diet for long. So what I say is all these things which are non-sustainable, please delete it from your system and bring back the sustainable things in your life. You enjoy everything, you have quality time with your family, your work is going fine, everything. But in spite of doing everything, and if you're not really feeling healthy from within, what's the point? Like
One more
recently we
thing.
lost, just to quote an example, this has been trending these days, that the celebrities who have lost their lives, yeah, many of them in a recent row, people who are
Hmm.
just in their 40s have lost their lives due to cardiac arrest or stroke.
Hmm.
Why? And everywhere this has been touted that okay, they were following a healthy lifestyle, they were eating well, they were exercising full time in the gym. What's the use? I mean, no matter how many hours you're in the gym, you're not going to get that kind of a
Hmm.
health unless you get proper sleep. If you're not sleeping well, no point. If you're not eating your food on time, no point.
Hmm.
Everything is interconnected, everything. And if you don't understand this, we as general human beings, like, we get shocked. Okay, he was so fit and healthy, kya hua? Why suddenly this happened to him? But there must be something wrong somewhere. That's why it's happened, right? He must have been stressed up. She must have been stressed up. Or gym में ज़्यादा activity कर लिया तो people think, okay, I'm healthy. No, that's not the case.
One.
Surely that's not the case. Actually, coming to this, I need to tell you another thing. I just need to, I feel to share this, because this was the reason, probably when I was studying, you know,
Hmm.
when I appeared for my 12th and I cleared my HSC with PCB, physics, chemistry, bio. I was always interested in people, in healing people. This was my passion, and healing people not with medicines. In fact, just a little anecdote about me. I appeared for my pre-medical test those days.
Hmm.
I didn't clear out in the first attempt. And then I had this real passion to heal people with food,
Hmm.
something which is natural. Why to pop in pills and everything? Because I'd seen people in my known circle, relatives, friends, and all, always on medications. And what? Ultimately, that leads to problems, more problems, because you're just ingesting chemicals into your body.
Right.
So I was always, attracted, fascinated with the fact that, okay, nature has given us so much. Everything is so natural, natural soil, fruits, vegetables. Then why don't we put it in our system and heal ourselves? So that was really something which was a turning point in my life, and that's what made me get into nutrition, field of nutrition and healing through natural things, healing just naturally. No chemical side effects, no things to be put inside except your natural abundance of your fruits, vegetables, what nature has provided us. So that really fascinated me, and I still say that we can always heal, always heal with the natural things rather than resorting to all the artificial stuff around us, right?
Uh, I don't know. When this corona hit, I started taking vitamin D because I'm a vegetarian. So I
Yeah,
normally don't eat or and B12. And I do tests every 4 months uh, for
that's nice.
myself.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
uh, they are always low in my body. And I started taking vitamin D and vitamin B12. And
Hmm.
those are the only two supplements which I will take probably forever, because I think they help me. Because once upon a time, vitamin B12 deficiency caused me those pricks and needles what in my body. They used to appear,
Tingling sensation. Yes, yes,
and I
yes.
had to take, I think, 10 injections in 10 weeks, that nerve injections for B12, because I was so low in B12 and I didn't know. And from then onwards, I started
Yeah,
doing tests so regularly. And also
right.
with vitamin D, I think that it is very important. And I started feeling, I cannot explain it that how good it is, but I think these two supplements everybody should check in their body. I don't know why, but I feel
Very, very important.
yes,
You said it. Yeah.
yes. And another thing which I want to add and which I liked
And
about,
which is, sorry to interrupt, but which is very low in every one of us,
yes,
especially because we don't get the sunlight,
no,
which is a real form of vitamin D, which has abundance of vitamin D. We just go out and stand in the sun for 30 minutes or so, you get all your necessary requirements on a daily basis, of course, not in one instance that, yeah. So by B12 and vitamin D is very, very important, which we lose out on, which we underestimate, but it's really important because that controls all our system. That's the nerve impulses, our body regulations, our metabolism, everything is linked to that. And unless we correct that, we will keep having these symptoms. We will keep having pains and aches and inflammation. But once you understand that, of course, always make sure that you consult your doctor, your physician, your family doctor, or your nutritionist, your dietitian. Consult a proper health professional and then go on and take your medications. Without that, it's always better to avoid because we don't want to fall into any problems.
yeah.
So it's always better to consult your medical professional.
One thing about this sunlight I want to add, I mean, I might be wrong, but this is what I have heard from another doctor on one of the podcasts. And he said that it's
Yeah.
not necessary to go out and stand in the sun. You just have to open your doors and windows, that vitamin D is not dissipating and absorbed by your walls. But I mean, right now outside it's 12 o'clock and full noon, and I am here
Yeah.
inside with so many lights. So we have also stopped
Oh, yes, he's right.
opening
He's
our
right.
doors
Yeah.
and windows, and that's not good. And yeah,
I'll answer to that question of yours. Whatever the doctor said is correct because it's not necessary that you go out. But why I say this is we need that. We need that. We are mostly in our apartments, in our closed apartments, okay, in a cubicle, and
mm,
we don't get that kind of bright sunlight in our houses. Yeah, no matter how much you open, you get that, but not the quantity that we want,
yeah,
not the amount or the, this thing what we actually require in our body. So for that, to get the full benefit of it, I tell my clients who ask me that, can I go for walks in the morning or evening? So I would say rather, if you have the liberty to go in the morning, please go. Please go in between 7 to 10, get your proper sunlight, or 7 to 9 probably if they are on work or something, and get that kind of sunlight, what the natural pure form of sunlight when you walk.
mm,
It makes a difference. You cure your osteoporosis, you cure your arthritis, you get your vitamin D, you're energetic, you know, sunlight, as we say in India, Surya Dev, this all is really natural. Blessed, we are blessed with all this, but we don't take
mm,
advantage, sadly. We are in our closed rooms, AC rooms, and it's really not good. All I say is be natural and take maximum benefit of the natural things that you have around you, no matter how much globalized we are. That's why you see people from rural areas are quite healthy. If you have noticed, people from rural areas are quite healthier than us. Why?
mm,
We are doing everything. We are doing A, B, C, D, E, F, but they are not doing much. They are following a healthy living. uh, women out there slog it out. They
mm,
work hard. They carry things on them. They are quite healthy. They have no issues. They have no pains, no aches, nothing. Why only we are having it? There's a reason behind it. They resort to natural things. They don't eat packaged food. They don't eat too much sugar. They don't go to the gym, but they're still
mm,
healthy. They're still healthy. And that's really important. The soil, the food that we eat in our cities, vegetables and fruits are all adulterated. In fact, I was having a discussion with one of my clients recently on the same thing,
mhm,
that we don't get natural things here anymore. Everything is adulterated. You see, all the fruits are pumped with colors. They're very colorful. Why suddenly? I mean, if you see, there are some natural things also. I mean, you see it more colorful than ever. Why? They are just injected. They are injected to ripen artificially. You know, they are not ripened naturally these days. Everything is adulterated. Too
Yeah.
much of pesticides. Yeah. So we don't get that in that rural kind of atmosphere. We are more natural. We are more grounded.
One thing I have noticed with a fruit called pear, when I was a kid, I loved pear. It was about this size and it has a
Okay.
grainy sort of texture when you eat it. Nowadays, pears are which I get from the supermarkets here are this size, and they are. I mean, they don't taste like pear at all. And I have to stop eating pears when they were my one of the favorite fruits once upon a time. So this
I
is the
agree. I
thing.
agree
I
with
mean,
this.
other things I cannot differentiate. Okay, this is good, this is bad, but this peer gave me 100% surety that they are doing something wrong. Who are they? I do not know, but they are doing something wrong, and it's
True.
not good for me.
Very true. See, you
So
yourself mark the huge difference, right?
right, right.
Notice the huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this goes with every fruit these days. Every fruit, the one which you pick up from farm fresh
Mm,
from probably Nasik or somewhere would be much the oranges Nagpur,
yeah,
and here we get all the injected ones, adulterated ones, the ones which are naturally artificially flavored, and we don't get anything out of it. We are just eating it. That's it.
yeah.
No nutrition. Yeah.
Wasting money.
So sadly, it's sad, but we can't help it.
Yeah.
We can't help it. When we are
Um,
living in this city kind of culture, we need to get adjusted to this.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it is good or bad, but um, the lack of awareness sometimes allow people to just let go and just live their life and suffer
True.
later, or you become aware and maybe a little bit afraid and start working right now on this.
Correct. And the feasibility. I would like to add the feasibility.
Yes. uh,
Something which is just coming on your platter. Just pay money and it's coming on a platter. Okay, it's good.
hmm.
Just convenient. The conveniency, I would say.
That's one thing which I liked about you, or the things you said, that okay, we eat normal Indian food, and because whatever diet, whatever exercises we are doing to keep us healthy, to lose weight, and this, people have to understand, accept before even starting, that you whatever you start, you have to do it forever. It's not that it's not a dose that you take it
Right.
for a
Spot
week.
on.
It's not a
Right.
dose that okay, now I'm
Not a
50
temporary.
kgs and I can live happily ever after. No, you have to do it till you die. So
Exactly. It's just as normal as brushing, bathing. It's
yeah.
everything is, you know, it's a normal core, but people make hype it. Okay, I can't do this. We are finding it difficult because we are so used to the artificial eating thing, artificial living, eating all artificial processed food, that normal food is something unique for us now. Like normal ghar ka khana becomes
Mm,
like something special. Arey, what she has put me on normal khana, because we are so used to
yeah.
that.
We are
Yeah,
addicted to bad food, bad health choices, bad physical low physical activities, like
so
on drugs.
sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah, we are
Yes.
addicted to it, and getting out of any addiction. I mean, even if I ask someone to stop drinking tea, I mean, they will have some withdrawal symptoms sooner or later, and that's what happens to everyone.
True.
So whenever you all start, I mean, you have to first accept, and I mean, probably drill in your mind that this you have to do forever. And if you are not, I think that if you are not
Exactly.
willing to do it forever, then probably it's not for you, and you have to go
Something.
on real
Then you go
drugs.
back to your, yeah, true.
So
Very true, actually, very true. You said it right. And to the viewers, of course, eat well, eat balanced. Don't go to resort to short fixes and quick fixes and fad diets, and sleep well. Follow a healthy pattern of lifestyle. It's just not about eating. It's everything together. It's a holistic step what you have to take towards bettering your health. So
hmm.
just don't resort to eating. Eat well, eat good, and don't starve ever. Don't fast ever. Don't follow quick fixes, quick methods. So it's very important to keep this in mind, and go back to your old traditional, seasonal, and local stuff, which give you all the required nourishment what you need. Don't have to run to A, B, C, or D. Just make sure that you are following a good system, good pattern, and of course, visit your professional, your qualified dietitian for what it is now, so what it has to be. So kudos to you too.
Thank you very much. And everyone else, bye-bye. Adios.
Bye. Take care. Thank you.
Mm.